Last round, undefeated. We're going to be treasure chest rich. Treasure chest rich. Losing some die rolls, but altogether not that bad. Mirror match, looks like. I'm no scientist or anything, but I'm pretty sure Port Town Inspector means a mirror match. So being on the draw is obviously not great. But we do have some Reflector Mages to catch up. Spell Queller's not a bad pickup. A lot of 3 mana cards in this deck. And again, F6ing. I don't think that they would... I guess they could play Rattle Chains, but for the most part, I want to disguise my counterspell. Not that they really have anything for 3 mana that they could play that I would counter, but, you know. Yep, can't counter that. I mean, I could try, but it probably won't work. So, what's the play here? I think we just, like, I assume that they're just going to pass because they don't want to run anything into Spell Queller, and then I can Queller, and if they Queller my Queller, then I can Mage it, and then I'll have a Mage and a Spell Queller in play. And then if they untap and play Gideon or whatever, I think that's fine too. I could Queller and try and block, but if they have Gideon, that's kind of real bad. Alright, we'll try for 2/3 flyer. 2/3 flyers in. Now I don't know what to do with my life. Do I start trading 2 for 2? I think I probably do. I'm certainly behind on this race now, but eventually these 1/2s are going to get outclassed, and if he Quellers end of my turn, I can just rebuff it and potentially rebuff their Gideon too. Or that. Same deal. Especially since I have the second one, I'm just going to cash it in for whatever. I have the second copy, and I have the mana to use both. If they just pass, things are kind of awkward. But if they Gideon, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rebuffed. Revolutionary technology. Oh no, 3rd Inspector. Alright, well, we're going to Gideon, make a token, and then just pass. No attacks with Spell Queller. I could potentially attack. I guess if they Gideon Emblem, it's really bad for me, though. So if they didn't have the 3rd Inspector, then I'd be more fine with attacking, but these early turns have played out pretty nicely for me, which has been great. I'm noticing that I'm kind of stuck with these Reflector Mages a decent amount of the time. So maybe Shrout was right in only playing 3. The issue... What does this mean? Just Avacyn? The issue is that the deck doesn't have a lot of 1 and 2 mana plays, so you need to come back from behind, and Reflector Mage is one of the best cards to do that. Alright, so we can't Avacyn yet. So we might just have to Reflector Mage that. And then I'm not sure if we're just hitting. Yeah, whatever. Just attacking with Gideon is just too good. Alright, so they can't Avacyn this turn. Reflector Mage, my Mage is kind of a tilt because I have another Mage in hand. They have their own Gideon. That's pretty good. So now they get to Emblem and kill mine. Yeah, maybe attacking with the knight was bad. Wasn't really thinking that they could double spell Mage and Gideon. So kind of a beat. Now we don't have a ton to do. I think we might be in a spot where we just want to crack this clue. Try and hit land 5. Brick. No great attacks. Now we're in trouble. Their double spell was good. It was very good. Like, if we play Selfless Spirit there and we miss on land 5, then I think it's pretty bad for us. So I don't mind cracking the clue there, and having the Spirit in play isn't that big of a deal. So I think I just do this, lose my token to their Avacyn. So yeah, now they're going to have Avacyn in play before me and have a Gideon emblem. Alternatively, I could just take the damage, but I'm not really interested in that. Oh, 3 Inspectors is just too good. Their Avacyn being a 5/5 is too good. So now I could Reflector Mage and Selfless Spirit, and that would kind of stabilize me. Sort of. Sort of, not really. Huh. And even if I get to Avacyn Selfless Spirit, it's not that good. I think I just want to do this. I want to get more bodies in play to get more value out of my Avacyn. Maybe that's wrong. Fortunately, my rebuff is dead. I didn't really need the third one. Second one was definitely great. The third one was not so much. My opponent has drawn a lot of lands, though, which makes them pretty poor. So if they attack, I can put Queller and Mage on Mage, Inspector on Inspector, Selfless Spirit on Inspector, sack the Spirit, so I basically trade Spirit for Reflector Mage, and I take 2 damage. Because they can't play the Avacyn quite yet. So I think they just have to pass, which means that we both have Avacyn. But I have Avacyn Spirit, but I guess like all my stuff dies. Are they going to attack? Wow, okay. This might be bad for me. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. I think I'm fine with that trade. I think I just want to keep open Avacyn. And if they have a counterspell or maybe a snare, it's pretty bad for me. Counterspell is definitely the worst one. Then I go to 2 and their Avacyn's lethal. At least this one, maybe I can pick off some stuff. But if I do that, then their Avacyn triggers, which kills more of my stuff. So yeah, I probably just want to fog this attack. Well, I guess double up on Avacyn is pretty good. Maybe they have another one. Yeah, if they just have nothing, it's pretty bad for them, I think. Man, I think if they had, maybe if they had an Avacyn, they wouldn't do it because it doesn't really do anything. So it's possible that they're just gonna jam. So they have no counter, no snare. If they had Reflector Mage, they probably would have used it. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't really want to attack. I guess I could just play Gideon and Emblem and then attack with Avacyn. No, that'd be really bad. Oh, they have Spell Color. Okay. So they could still have Avacyn. Yeah, I think I'm kind of winning here, so I'm not going to do anything. I mean, next turn I can just mage the Queller emblem and probably start fighting. Well, do I even want to... Yeah, I think I do. I think so. Oh, wow. Okay, old school. They also have Avacyn here. It's really bad for me. But I kind of feel like they're spent at this point. Maybe not. Alright, so what am I doing with this Gideon? They have a 3/2 Rattle Chains. I have 2 Flyers, potentially. I think I just want to make a token. Can hopefully Emblem next turn. So we can definitely decipher that they did not have an Avacyn, because they gave them a couple of pretty good shots to use it. I think we just trade Queller. Trade Queller instead of Copter. Even though Copter's like kind of a dead creature, sort of. Like, doesn't add to my total amount of blockers or anything. Okay. What are we doing here? As always, you could just tick up on Gideon. If I Emblem Crewcopter with Inspector, that's lethal in 2 turns with Avacyn. And I'm pretty well defended, I think. Okay. That's actually pretty good for me, because then it means my Avacyn's kind of safe. If I attack with Mage, I just trade for an Inspector, but I can Avacyn here to just kill an Inspector for free, I think. Don't want to attack with too many things because you could just take it and then, like, you know, snare my blocker and I die, but yeah. So maybe not the best played in, like, the mid-ish game, but definitely as things went on, I think I played that pretty well. You know, like, before and after turn 7, basically. So rebuffs were pretty nice. That's definitely going to be a thing that they have to play around. I think the frags are good enough to bring in. So I'm going to cut my snares. I guess they still have Copter to blow up, which, again, is not perfect, but is a thing. I think Linvala is probably just, like, the best card, and then I think I want some counter spells. On the play, I can probably cut a rebuff, but on the draw, I think I need 2 mana interaction just to make sure I don't get run over. Although, maybe just, like, the threat of having them is, like, good enough. So then, what do I not want? I think they're going to keep in their snares, potentially. Yeah, my opponent sent me a message, but I can't do anything from this screen. So, possible I'm supposed to side out Gideon on the draw. I wonder if I can bluff rebuff, but, like, the issue is if I'm just, like, holding open 2 mana, I can't really afford to do that either if I don't have the card. And I don't have anything really to disguise it with unless I have a clue. I'm just kind of cutting things at random. Maybe I only want one frag. Until I know for sure if they kept in snare. I gotta assume that they're going to keep in snare. I don't know. It seems like such high impact. Having a thing that lets you double spell is pretty insane. Maybe I want to cut more Gideons on the draw. It did seem pretty tough to actually get it to stick. I don't know. I think the rebuffs are still probably pretty good no matter what. Cut a copter? Is that crazy? That's probably crazy. I'll just cut a spirit. This is really hodgepodge and I kind of hate it, but whatever. Alright, so we don't have blue mana, which basically means that we don't have a card that we can cast. And we have copter, but we can't crew it really. So I think we have to mulligan this. It's so close to being great. If I just had a blue source, I'm not going to bank on drawing a blue. I have 15. 15 and 53 is like 1 and 4. A little less than that. Yeah, every time I mulligan, it just looks so much better. All right, do we? How much do we want this frag? I mean, we have copter into spirit. We have rebuff potentially. We don't have our scatter turned on. We don't really have anything for our opponent to like snare profitably. Maybe copter. So like, how much do we actually care about fragmentize? Do we care about killing our opponent's copters? Our opponent did keep 7. Ugh. I mean, my curve is all pretty low. If we draw all land, then we can like rebuff frag in a turn, which might be really good. Not too interested in fragging my opponent's clue. Oh, stupid sorcery. Oh, maybe the play is turn 3 spirit frag your copter. I don't really want to just skip my turn fragging their copter, so I'll let them get one hit in with it. And they just discard another one, which is reasonable. You don't have enough creatures to crew. Well, there's Inspector. It's pretty nice. So, bad things that could happen to me all involve Spell Queller. So we start here. I mean, if they have Queller Gideon, I'm just dead. Like, it's lights out, so whatever. Could just have Snare here. I would not mind Sky Whaler's Shot because I could just Selfless Spirit it, but yeah. Okay, so our frags are good. It's good to know. And our opponent just appears to be on the strat of play enough things, they can't frag them all. Nice that I drew the Spell Queller because I couldn't really do anything otherwise. But I'll just play Inspector and pass. Now they have Avacyn, so I can't really crack Clue. And I gotta imagine that they do have Avacyn. And now we have a bunch of counter spells. So it's kind of good, kind of bad. Bad because my opponent can fight on my turn. And I don't have the mana to play 2 in one turn yet. So if my opponent does play a spell, there's like certainly an argument to just scattering it because next turn I might be able to have Queller and Rebuff, but I think this Rebuff is going dead pretty quick here. So now what's the play? I can just Queller the Queller because I can't Rebuff it. So the options are Queller or Scatter. I think I should Queller. So now my opponent could main phase Avacyn, or they could Snare. I feel like if they had Snare, they could just use it until I played a spell. And maybe like free up their Queller and get my spell. But whoa, what happened? Did they not cast their spell Queller? Oh, no, I think it's one of those things where it's just like not there. It's gotta be there, right? Chooses not to cast spell. Okay, well, that was probably a misclick. And then I could, well, I guess if I want to attack, I should do that first. I do want to cast Gideon, but I feel like my opponent might just counter it somehow. That'd be really annoying with me having 2 counter spells. Trying to think of how they played their turns and if it's likely or not that they have a counterspell. Like, I'm not so worried about getting my Gideon countered, but I am kind of worried about me having my shields down for a turn. Like, what if they counter my Gideon and then draw an Avacyn or something, and yeah, they just snap off counterspell. I will not pay 4. Alright, so Inspector is not the worst draw. I don't think I would have scattered that, although it is kind of painful because they get a redraw off the clue. But yeah, they just have their own Avacyn. That's really bad. Oh, I'm blocking. Like, what the hell? Why would I not block? Alright, too many counterspells. Guess I should have not cast Gideon. I was like kind of ahead on board, you know. I had the Selfless Spirit. Same kind of deal. I probably should have countered that because I have 2 scatters actually. Do I care if Avacyn transforms? Might make things better for me, honestly. Clears up all these silly inspectors. And then if I draw a stone, I just have a clear board. Yeah, I'm just rotting with these counterspells because I'm really dumb. It's unfortunate. Alright, I will counter your 4th Inspector. Now I'm at 2. Bad times. Stone, please. No stones. Tilt? I guess shot would have been much better, but I only have 1 shot and 3 stones. It seemed fair to call for the 3 of. Now this is going to be very sad, where I chump, and then also have to scatter their Inspector if they choose to cast it this time. I guess I can awaken. No good spell, please. Uh-oh. Copter? Ah, that's fine. Alright, dead. Yeah, the counterspells were a little awkward. Alright, so on the play, gonna cut the rebuffs. Definitely want all the Gideons. Shrivel seemed decent. My opponent did not appear to have Fragmentize, which makes me want the snares even more. Maybe they cut Selfless Spirits? I don't know. Maybe I'll just do whatever my opponent does. I guess I don't want two Linvalas. Oh, if I drew a Linvala there, that would have been great, actually. Gain 5 and have a card that can actually block Avacyn. Unfortunately, since I awakened, we both had a creature. Well, I guess I would cast Linvala too. So yeah, no matter what, I wasn't going to get the 3/3 Angel, but still pretty sweet. I think I want to keep one just in case I fall behind, but it would be fitting if I lose the 5-0 to the mirror. So one game for everything. This hand is solid. No Inspector, never lucky. Worth noting that Scatter has been kind of tough to cast, whereas Shrivel would have been on every time. And also it's like pretty tough for them to play around Shrivel. Man. Wonder how much your win rate would go up if you just had Inspector on one every game. Did pick up the second island for Scatter, so that's cool. Kind of tough when I have Scatter and Snare. I can't really pass and have both without a dual land. And they have the Copter. This probably means I need Snare, although I wouldn't mind saving the Snare for Avacyn. I could potentially just Reflector Mage the Inspector, but that's kind of bad. That's not like a permanent solution to the Copter, and it's like a pretty poor solution. But then I get Mage on board, and their mana looks pretty awkward, although they did show me a thing with a Port Town, so this is probably their third land, just keeping it in case they draw another Port Town, which does make sense. I guess I could Mage and then Queller on a following turn, so this is kind of ugly. Maybe Mage is just terrible in the mirror, because there's like nothing profitable to bounce except for Spell Queller. Gideon token, that's not really exciting. So ideally they don't get to crew their Copter. Ideally they're a little mana screwed. Oh, okay, they did keep in Spirit. Well, how'd you sideboard? Tell me how to sideboard. All the cards seem decent. Playing the island first, I feel like, is probably a mistake. Because now you can draw Port Down or a Prairie Stream that you want to play tapped. Tough decision on the discard, I guess. Abby does seem pretty bad in these decks. I don't know. Not super excited by it. I'm also not super excited about this Thraben Inspector that's about to come down next turn, although I can Spell Queller it. Fragmentize? Prairie Stream's not bad. All my cards have flash, so I'm just going to pass the turn. And yep, I am going to Queller that. I'm going to continue trying to not care about Smuggler's Copter and just try and beat him down. Whether or not that's a good idea, who knows? But it's kind of all I got. So let's do it. Discard Archangel, main phase Crack Clue, don't play a land. Alright, so we're going to show them islands. Try and remember that for next turn when I play a land. We're going to hit, kind of posture a little bit, eventually decide I'm passing the turn. I do kind of want to play this Scatter with Awaken. want to snare the copter, or at least try. I feel like this is probably pretty bad. They get to shrivel this or queller it. Yeah, that's pretty bad. If I get another reflector mage, though, okay, now they like didn't attack. Maybe they forgot. They probably didn't forget. Yeah, maybe they forgot. I don't know. Maybe it's on purpose so they have a 3/3 blocker against my 2/3s. Who knows? Either way, we're gonna give up on Scatter with Awaken for this turn at least. Boards at parity, they have a bunch of spells. Screw basically beats Flood, and that's kind of the world we're living in right now. Could have played a land for Gideon plus Counterspell, which probably would have been worth it since I have 4 Gideons in my deck. I guess we're going to try for the trade. Mostly interested in getting to loot before things get too out of hand. Things could get awkward if they just pass, though. Like, say I draw a Reflector Mage, right, and I mage this. With this on the stack before I target anything, they could sack their spirits. And I guess that doesn't matter, though, because I can't exile one of my own things. They discard Gisela? Jeez. Okay, that's a good draw. We'll spell Queller basically anything. Another Copter, okay. So they have a 3/3, which means I can't really attack. I could, and then Avacyn, but then they get to loot. They already looted away a snare, so I assume they have a way to kill my Avacyn, so... I don't know, maybe this is the way to do things? I get in for 4 points. They have to deal with my Avacyn. They also get to loot, which doesn't really matter, I think. I guess the worst scenario is like if I attack and then they block, I Avacyn, then they untap play Gisela, which I have no answer for right now. But if I pass, I guess if they attack, yeah, I just want to get my Avacyn in play. I want to make them have to tap out to deal with it. And then I get to untap with Counterspell mana again. So it's basically just like we exchange a turn cycle, which I think I'm fine with. We exchange a turn, they take 4, I probably take some amount of damage. Yep, snare is to be expected. It's kind of just good that they have to use that on Avacyn and not a Queller anyway, because then that puts them up a card also. Up a card in play at least. So yeah, they take 4. I take 5. Wow. Does that mean I'm getting stoned? Oh god, that would be bad. Now they're looting away lands. Yeah, if they stone my Quellers, I'm just dead. Okay, well now I have a stone. What does that mean? What does that do for me? I wonder if I want to save this stone. So, like, right now, I could stone the Queller, get my snare, snare the spirit. They can sack it or not, whatever. It doesn't matter. They get to crack my clue, and then I get to scatter whatever they play. Alternatively, I could pass, and then if their play is Avacyn, then I would have to do that stuff on my turn. Maybe that's fine. Do they have, like, a negate, maybe? I don't know. Am I in any danger of getting lethal? Probably not with the counterspell. Yeah, I mean, they're only showing 7. Even if they played a creature in Crude. So I think this is better. Because if they plan their turn around like, oh, I'm going to have like X, Y, and Z back to block, and I get to Stone Queller and get my snare back, that's going to throw off their math by a lot. And then I don't give them the opportunity to crack the clue, too. I'm not sure if that's actually, a thing or not, but... Alright, here we go. Time to fight. We'll see if they have Queller, Spell Shrivel, or if they just have Avacyn. Okay. So far, so good. I guess they get to crew the Copter, which is certainly a thing, but if the only thing they have is Avacyn, then it doesn't really matter. Yep, counter this, kill you. Unless you have Dispel. Sweet. Opponent sent me a message, still couldn't see it, sorry. 5-0. Not bad, not bad.